But today, I'm going to try to get through this stuff pretty quickly so we can get to your questions and answers and we can talk about our experiences, get to the fun stuff. This is just the application stuff. How many of you have heard of CLS before? Okay. How many of you have applied before? So last year you applied?
No, I'm doing it right
now. Are you doing it right now? Okay. Have any of you started your application? Okay, good. Most of you. If not, we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the Critical Language Scholarship is, in fact, a program of the U.S. Department of State, Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs. It is funded by the state government. The program objective, right now, they're very much emphasizing this right now. They want to increase the number of Americans studying and mastering critical foreign languages. The critical languages that are encompassed in this scholarship, as you know, are very important to the U.S. government. And so, unlike Bourne, if you do this, you're not required to get a governmental job or a job with the government, but getting the Critical Language Scholarship can very much help you in getting a career in the government or any other career, actually. Launched in 2006. Of course, only U.S. citizens can do this, undergraduate or graduate, doesn't matter. Not too specific with that. They get a lot of applicants, as you can see. So these are the target languages, the languages that are available. And as you can see with this graph, only certain languages you can start with no experience at all, such as Azerbaijani, Bangla, Hindi, Indonesian, Korean, Punjabi, Turkish, Urdu. You don't have to have had any experience with those languages at all to apply for that. So you start off on a blank scratch, or a blank, whatever that cliche is, yeah. So advanced beginning, that's usually after you finish about 1 year of that. Intermediate, 2 years. Advanced. It really depends on how you feel, how you feel your language skills are at that time. Yeah, so the institute locations all over the world. Arabic itself, who's here for Arabic? Okay, a couple of you. There's plenty of places. There's Morocco, there's Egypt, there's Jordan, Oman, lots of places like that. Russia has different cities. Persian was in Tajikistan. All the Indian languages and the Pakistan language is in India. So wherever the language is spoken and wherever it is safe for American citizens to go, that's usually where it is. So why should you apply? Personally, when I was there, my language proficiency, because I was able to be immersed, just increased like tenfold. It was amazing to see the advancements that we got from doing this. They really emphasize cultural experiences, try to get you out there and learn about the culture and where the language comes from and the people there. Here's the eligibility, U.S. citizen, undergraduate, graduate. You have to be enrolled, at least 18 years old, all backgrounds, disciplines. Yeah, like I said, some require previous language study, but not all of them. So the benefits, you get to travel internationally. Before you leave, you get to travel to Washington, D.C. All the plane flights, wherever you need to go, are all covered, or trips or trains, wherever you're coming from. So all of these are all provided for you. And so you're never going to be short on money when you're there, unless you're going and buying crazy things and doing crazy stuff. But yeah, so it's very diverse, like that. When you apply, you can, okay, so it says the application is due today, November 15th. Because there's been a lot of delays, I apologize for that, with the CLS and all that stuff. Because of Hurricane Sandy, it was moved to the 20th. So we have till Tuesday. Unfortunately, we wish we could have gotten this stuff out earlier so we had more time for you students. But it is November 20th. So if you need, like it says, you need to fill out the application, you need unofficial transcripts. For BYU students, that's pretty easy. You just go on AIM, you copy and paste what you have so far and paste it there. That's easy. The hard part is trying to get those 2 letters in pretty quickly. So like it says, 1 general letter of reference, 1 language reference. They kind of want teachers, academic advisors, and stuff like that for those. So key elements of a successful application. We're going to answer a lot of questions about the application process for you guys later. So if you have any questions, think of those, and we'll be able to answer a lot of those. Like Corey was talking about, the application process, the essay writing, that is very, very important. When you write it out, you don't want to make any mistakes. You want to go over your application a few times over and just make sure everything's right, everything's correct. Like it says, you want to make a clear connection between target language and academic career. Why is proficiency in the target language critical to your academic and professional goals? How will you continue your language study after the program? When you write in that first essay, very important, you want to talk about these things. You want to be very clear, very clear. But most importantly, when you think about these things, when you write in your application, you want to be unique. These people that read these applications, they get thousands. Like it said, 5,200 different, and we don't even know how many for each language. So when you write your application, you want to make yourself to look very unique. Like you said, if you've been doing any extracurricular activities or things that you're already learning about this language, you're already learning about the culture, you have experience overseas, anything, you want to just make yourself look like the greatest person ever. Not, like, you still want to be humble, you know, we're, like, especially BYU, we're really about being humble, but this is, you guys know, writing applications, interviews, you want to make yourself look like the best you can be. Make it clear you can succeed in an intensive group-based program. When you're there, it's not an individual thing, but we go and we combine as groups, as like classes. And so for each how'd you say, like beginner, intermediate, advanced, there's different classes that separate. And you guys have your own teachers and you trade teachers. That's how I know that Persian was like. But when you're there, you're going to be going, most of these countries you're going to are third world countries. And so I don't know your experience with that, but you want to basically sell yourself that, yes, if you go there, you'll be able to stay the full 2 months. Some of these countries are pretty hard to live in. Tajikistan, it was like I've lived in India for a while. Tajikistan wasn't as hard as India. India is one of those. But for people that haven't lived in these countries, it's a big change. It's a big culture shock. So if you're ready for that, you want to tell them that you're ready for that. Share any experiences like that. You know, sometimes we get sick in those countries, but you just got to be strong. But that's part of the fun. That's part of the experience. Letters of recommendation are extremely important. Letters from faculty, instructions preferred, include language reference, ask early, be polite. For those of you that haven't asked yet, you want to focus on the be polite part. It's not really early. Okay. So these are some pitfalls you want to avoid. Spelling, grammatical errors, that's obvious. Not following application directions, that's very important. Make sure you read every single little detail. One of my friends, I had a friend who was way more than overly qualified for one of these things. And he filled out the application, you know, like he was going to get it, but then he didn't even pass the first round. And then he went back and looked at his application and he found a lot of mistakes. So these people, they look and they see these little mistakes. If you're not able to catch those, then yeah. So weak letters of recommendation, I guess you just want to find people that know you, that can tell your best qualities and such. Not articulating connection between language, academic, professional goals. You want to make a connection. They're not sending you out to do professional things. They're sending you out to learn the language. So they want you to know, or they want to know if you can connect that with your future career, with your professional goals, like it said. That's pretty easy. Vague career goals. Be very specific. Very specific. If you have any if you have any desire to work for the government, make sure you write that down. Because they would love for this money that they're giving you to do these things to come back to them in one way or another. So if you're trying to work for the government in any agency or any section, department at all, make sure you write that down. Focus on personal goals rather than academic professional goals. Huh? Oh, I don't know. Focusing on personal goals rather than... Oh, these are pitfalls, yeah. I didn't watch the beginning. But anyways, yeah. Okay. Application deadline, that was changed to the 20th. There's different rounds, December 1st. Each application read by 2 independent readers. Like I said, these people, they read lots of applications. They read lots of stories. They read lots of very exciting essays. They read lots of very boring essays. And obviously, if you're sitting there reading hundreds of essays, you want an essay that will stand out, that will get your attention. And if your essay can do that, then they'll like it, and they'll put it on the right stack. Yeah, so then after that, top 1/3, all this stuff. And February, March, finalists, alternates are notified. So when you do get to if you pass the first round and you find out about the second round, I myself, I was not accepted as a finalist. I was actually accepted as an alternate. And so if you do get accepted as an alternate, you don't lose hope, but you can get it too. Yeah, so these are some additional funding opportunities. You can write these down if you want to learn more about those. Not really about CLS. Everyone interested to write these down? You can come back and ask me. Yeah, so there's, between now and when you apply, and then even after that, there's plenty of places to stay connected with the CLS. The website has tons of information. I encourage you to visit that. YouTube has that. The Facebook page is an awesome place, awesome source for information. You can just go and just post right on the page itself, and they'll answer your question like right away. Either one of us or one of them who's actually in charge of that. Connect.state.gov, that is an awesome. If any of you have ever gotten a scholarship through the State Department at all, there's a website for alumni, and it's also connected to connect.state.gov. Twitter, phone number. You can call a phone number if you have a question. That's really cool. And the email. And so that's pretty much the basic information about that. If you have any questions, we can answer that in a little bit. But I thought we would take turns and talk about our experiences. So like I said earlier, I went to study Persian. I studied Persian a little bit, or for 2 years here at BYU, and I applied to this, and they sent me to Dushanbe, Tajikistan. There's only a few countries that actually speak Persian. Persian is an Iranian language, but obviously because of conflict going on with Iran and Afghanistan, they can't send you there. So they send us to Dushanbe, Tajikistan. Is anyone applying for Persian? No? Okay, I won't go into that. Oh, maybe? Okay. Yeah, so very interesting. We learned Persian in the classrooms. Our teachers were Iranian, but outside the classroom, we had to learn Tajik, which is a dialect of Persian, and that was pretty difficult trying to get that. So we did when we're there, we do lots of fun activities. Like I said, these were the students that were there, that we were with. We went to museums, we did plays, we met with Tajik and Iranian natives and talked with them and got to practice all the time. That's pretty much what they want you to do. They want you to get immersed and learn as much as you can. The bottom left, we were looking at these Persian manuscripts that were hundreds of years old, and that was really cool. We got to look through that and read some of that. Top left, that's Kila Hisor, which is an old fort rebuilt, but it was in Tajikistan ever since the time of Alexander the Great. And so we get to go whatever country you go to, you get to see some sweet sights. You get to meet the people. So this was with the students, but they give us tons of extra time, whether we want to use it for studying, for tutoring sessions, or we can just do whatever we want. So when I was there, I tried to find as much stuff as I can do outside. So the top right, I found this music museum, and I met these guys, and I actually started taking lessons for the Tajik sitar. So one of those guys, the guy to my left, that sitar he's holding, he made that, and I bought that from him, and I got personal lessons from that, and that was an awesome experience. Top left, I probably don't recommend this. Went to a Tajik military base, paid $30 to jump out of an airplane, and like ancient Soviet airplane, 60 years old, with Indian-bought parachutes. I don't recommend that. Don't do it unless you get permission. Yeah. So you can do awesome stuff. Outside of that, I found, sorry, this PowerPoint's horrible. I just put these pictures on really fast. But outside of that, I went out and I tried to meet as much people as possible. I met Tajiks on the street. I learned a lot of Tajik, talked to a lot of people. These pictures right here, I actually found some people that were connected with the Danish refugee committee, a Danish refugee organization. I can't remember the exact name. But anyways, I found these Afghani refugees from Afghanistan who have had horrible lives, and half their husbands are dead or have left them. And I went there and I volunteered and I taught English to them. And while I was there, I got opportunities to learn Dari, which is the Persian, the Afghan dialect of Persian. And so that was an amazing experience. And so that was my experience. I recommend you guys apply as soon as you can, get everything done, and you can have an amazing experience like this. I'll turn the time over to James. I got some of his pictures, and he went to Morocco.
Okay. Hi. Thanks for coming first off. My name is James. I did CLS Arabic in Tangier, Morocco. Just a little bit of background on me. I studied Arabic here for a few years, for about 3 years now. And I applied for CLS when I was actually doing the Jordan study abroad. It was a really great experience. Here in the top right, that's just the class that I was in. As I understand it, I think there's quite a bit of variation between the different CLS institutes. So depending on what language you're applying for and depending on where you go, there will probably be lots of different things. Basically every day we'd go to class from about 9 to 2. And then they would usually have some kind of cultural activity planned for us. Like we'd go to museums, or we'd go, play soccer with locals, or we'd, one time we went and got our face shaved at like a Arab barber shop, which was an interesting experience. One of the really cool things about CLS, and I don't know if they do this for every institute, but they would basically just throw money at us and be like, listen, go travel on the weekends. We don't we don't want to see you hanging around like the institute anymore. So I got to travel almost every weekend. I saw some really great stuff. Like Alex said, we met lots of really great people, had some really good food, had some really interesting types of food too. It was great. I don't know how much you guys know about Morocco, but we got to see some really awesome cities. Like we got to go to Chefchaouen, and we got to go to Rabat, here I went climbing with a friend in some caves. It's a really great experience. I really enjoyed it a lot. I really felt like I made a lot of friends, both with the people that I was at the institute with and with locals in the community. It really did a lot of good for my Arabic. It's a really good experience. And I think that's it.
All right. My name's Greg. I was also in Morocco, but I was in a different program than James. I was in the Rabat Institute, and I was doing advanced beginning. So, whereas what program were you, or what level were you, Alex?
I was advanced.
advanced, and James, you were advanced as well. So yeah, there's a lot of variety. There's a couple of things that I want to like emphasize about the program. Is one, that it's free. Like, I don't know anything better than spending your summer. And I think I spent of my own money maybe $50, and I was able to travel. I traveled every single weekend, and I bought souvenirs for all my family. Like, and it was an incredible experience. I had so much fun. And for me, I'm a film minor, an Arabic major, but film is what I want to do for my career. It's what I'm interested in. And Morocco has a really interesting film environment, even though I was at first a little bit bummed to go to Morocco because they're Arabic. The dialect is beyond weird in terms of regular Arabic. But as a film, that's my main point in my application was that I was really interested in culture, and that there was more to offer or more to be experienced than just the government route or just the intelligence route. And I think that actually helped me set myself apart because that's what I'm passionate about. And so some of the stuff that I did while I was there in my free time, which there's a lot, but there's not a lot. It's the most intense vacation you'll ever have. But I tried to do like some of these are my photos. I do film photography as well. Most of it's black and white, but this one is the classroom, just to give an idea of where we lived during the day. But then I went to the desert, went to the Sahara for one of the weekends, which, there's so many crazy adventures that you can have. And unlike some of the other study abroad programs, they really do just encourage you. You get permission, like, I want to travel this weekend. And at least I never heard of them turning anybody down. And you really got to do what you wanted. I also participated in the Jerusalem Center study abroad, which was the exact opposite, where I couldn't do anything anywhere. And it was really frustrating, actually. But still a really awesome experience, just not what I was looking for culturally. And this was everything that I wanted, and more. And now I want more. But it was a really awesome experience to open my horizon. We traveled to Merzouga, me and some friends. And it was one crazy adventure after another after our train broke down. And then after we sat 7 people in a 5-person cab for 7 hours. It's an adventure that you can only have on programs like this. And so here's a couple more photos. We loved the beaches in Morocco. So it's not all schoolwork and hardship. It's a lot of really, really fun places. And a lot of people do a lot of shopping, which is also fun. And you make lots of friends. That was one of the things that came out in some of the cultural activities that they planned for us. They had, like, some of you might have heard of her, I can't remember, Marinisi. I can't remember her first name. She's a very famous author, and she came and spoke to us. And the people that were there advising the program gave some really great advice. And the academic environment, I don't know how it was for both of you, but it's really challenging, and you're there with really intelligent people that really up your own game, and that will provide some really fantastic connections through your future. Like, we had a Fulbrighter, several multiple recipients of CLS scholarships, several graduate students. It's just really, really good company. And lots of historical and cultural places to see. And yeah, like I say, you get to travel, you get to broaden your experience, and I can't think of a better way to spend your summer. A lot of people feel like you need to make money during the summer, and I feel like that's a definite need for us as students. But by not spending money, by minimizing your losses, and having an experience that will, as was mentioned, definitely provide you opportunities in the future, it's totally worth it. And yeah, if I could recommend anything, I would say if you haven't got your professors, your letters of recommendation, find somebody and talk to them today before you go home, so that you can have something starting, and then it's up to you to finish the rest of the application. And I spent probably over 30 hours writing my 4 or 5 essays. I was fortunate enough to have my brother kind of be like a peer coach. I'd send him stuff, and he was brutal, and that really helped. But I think also, unfortunately, the Arabic, at least from what Professor Bone was saying to me, or Dean Bone, was that for Arabic under advanced, it's almost impossible for a BYU student to get it, just because we have such a good program and they know that. So you probably don't need to spend the amount of time that I did on my first one. But that being said, and as Corey said, we really spend time on your essays, and don't just tell them you're unique, show them you're unique. Talk about and go into experiences that you've had instead of dreams or you don't say that you're humble. You show an experience that illustrates your humility or whatnot. So yeah, I think I will end there with my portion of it. But again, really, just do it, because it's an absolutely incredible experience, and it's free.
Now, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. We can open it up for any questions. You can answer anything. But before I ask, I kind of want to ask, can we go around and say what languages you want? Anyone for Russian? No? What are some languages? I want you guys to raise your hand and say. Yeah.
Applying for Indonesian.
Indonesian? Cool. Right.
Japanese.
Japanese.
Korean.
Korean.
Chinese.
Chinese.
Turkish.
Turkish. Cool. Awesome. As a beginner? Or do you have some more?
I'm taking Turkish 101 right now, so by the time I go.
Where are you back there?
Arabic.
Arabic? Cool. Awesome. Lots of diversity. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah.
Okay, so on the application, when it's asking about do you have any friends or family that speak this target language, etc., what do you put for that?
That's pretty clear. If you have any friends or family, do you have friends or family that speak what language are you?
Chinese.
Chinese.
Well, I did initially in high school, so I have
Yeah.
revision and stuff, but I don't know how much it wants me to put.
You don't have to put a lot.
I don't don't quote me on this, but I don't think that's something they place a lot of weight on. I think it's just kind of trying to get an idea of your exposure to the language.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I was checking for BYU under the schools, all they had was BYU Hawaii campus in Idaho.
Yeah.
So
I should put other BYU.
and
Really?
Utah.
Yeah, that's what
It gives you a list, right?
Yeah,
You
the
can
list.
select the list.
the list only has
BYU's not on the
Hawaii
list.
and Idaho.
Okay. That's good to know. I will write that down. I will go check for myself, and then
I assure you it's true.
I'll make sure that's fixed before the deadline. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you back there.
What are the program dates?
The program dates, they're a little different.
Yeah.
What were you guys?
I was, I think it was June 19th to August 22nd or something like that.
Okay, so a summer term? Because if I'm doing a study abroad during spring term, I could still do it.
Yeah. Have you actually started your application?
For this, no, I
Yeah.
saw this 2 days ago and I thought I want to go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it actually asks you to give the dates of when the
Okay.
spring terms and stuff, and so it's something that they factor in. I don't know if they can guarantee you that you can go on an institute, but I mean it's something that they look at and then
Okay.
they take into account.
And then, just for everybody's information, when you're writing your essays, the Writing Center on the 4th floor of the JKB, you're a student at BYU and therefore we are free to you. And we help with a lot of applications for med school and law school and other things, different scholarships. So if you want help, come to the Writing Center, 4th floor JKB.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Going along with the spring term, when they say spring term on the application, is that the equivalent of our winter term? Because I know other schools, or is it actually the short spring term?
Well, actually, it changes. I left earlier than they actually left. I left June 13th, which was actually before our spring term ended. So unfortunately, like, because I found out I got this before spring term started, I actually didn't do spring term. I just did some other things before that. But they went after spring term ended, right?
Well,
Well, I went to 12.
Oh, you went earlier too? Okay.
It's just like on the application it asks you to like I can't remember how it's worded exactly, but I mean I put down like June 14th or whatever the date was for when the spring term ended.
Well, it's just asking for like, what classes are you enrolled for in spring term? And then so I'm wondering, does that mean, are they looking at next term to make sure I'm still enrolled? You know, am I taking classes next term? What am I?
You know what? For that, just put some future classes, because
Okay.
you're not actually, like, none of us are actually. We don't. Oh, spring term.
I think-
winter term. Yeah.
I think it is winter
It
term, because
is,
there's
yeah.
a couple different times where it asks about a spring or a winter, like, and it is kind of confusing, I've noticed that, because I'm applying again as well, so I've been filling out the application. And yeah, there's a couple times when it asks specifically spring term, as in like summer spring term, and then there's the other one that I believe, where it doesn't really give an option for not being enrolled, and I believe that is when it's talking about what we would call winter.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they say spring term, that's our winter term.
Okay.
So yeah,
or I
just
could
put what you have next semester.
Unless it's
just-
asking for end dates in summer, in which
Yeah,
case
yeah.
it's talking about the other term.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it says, like, I'm graduating next year, so, but it says there are graduate programs available. Is there anything particular about that?
When are you graduating?
Should be, in August or July.
Okay. You should be fine for that, because you're still enrolled as a BYU student.
You will be fine. I had there were two other people from BYU who went on the study or who did CLS with me who were graduating in August, and they were able to go without any problem.
Yeah, so don't worry about that. If you really are concerned about that, you can just put a projected date, put your projected graduation date later, after the summer. So, because it's not official, really.
You like don't have to go back to school afterwards.
Yeah. But then if you're like graduating like this month, in order to apply, you need to have like already be enrolled in graduate school to do it. Graduates and undergraduates, either one is available for this. Like in our program, we had tons of graduate students. Any other questions? Yeah, you bet.
Just want to verify then, this will not interfere with winter semester, but you might want to check to see whether or not you got applied before you sign up for spring semester,
Yeah.
or spring term, sorry.
The program dates may conflict with our spring term, the graduation date, which there's different options you can do. That's personal preference. For me, I just chose not to take any classes because I had time free and I just went home and spent time with my family because I wasn't going to spend time with them during the summer. Sometimes if you find out that the program date starts before you actually graduate, if you want, you can go talk to your teachers that you know you'll have in the spring term after you find out you got accepted for it, and probably work something out with them, taking the final exam early. That's just personally what you want to try. Yeah.
Would being on academic warning or probation be considered academic discipline? Because there's a section in the application where it says, have you ever been in academic discipline or honor code discipline, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, the way BYU defines those things is like, as a help instead of like
Yeah.
as a slap on the wrist. So,
I can look that up. I can't give you a firm answer on that, but I'm just gonna guess.
I have no idea.
If you are under what do they call it, academic
they've got like,
probation,
yeah, or have been in the past.
and
Not
it's
currently.
asking for I would assume academic discipline that falls under academic discipline. Like, it's better to be honest and try to hide it, and then they find out
It's the
about it.
State Department, so we
Yeah.
probably figure that out.
Yeah. So, just be honest. And
I
do
just
what you
didn't know if
feel
that
is
was
right.
like the term academic discipline, like as a, what does that
You
even?
can contact the, like, records office or
Yeah.
and ask them if that counts as far as other universities are concerned with probation.
Okay.
Okay, so on the application where it's asking about the language classes you've taken, I know it asked about the one you took the semester before, the one you're taking right now. So for me, like, I'm not actually enrolled in a language class right now, but I'm just auditing the one I
Okay.
took last semester because I didn't have time for one. Like, how do I address that in that section?
It's the one you're taking right now?
Because it asked for the one from last winter,
Yeah.
and then it asked for the one that I'm taking right now.
And the one you're taking right now, you're auditing?
Yeah.
Okay. With your unofficial transcript, those classes that you took previously will have the grades. For this one, whether you're auditing or not, it's not going to have the grades for that.
Well, but
Yeah.
like, I just got permission from the teacher to audit, so it's not actually like on my record that I'm auditing.
I think auditing does show up on the record, doesn't it?
I don't
That's
know.
what she just said, is that she
Oh.
is doing it so that it doesn't show up.
Right, you're just attending.
Yeah, she just
But
had permission.
I don't know much about auditing, but I think it actually does show up sometimes.
Well, maybe it doesn't right
Well,
now.
is there a spot where you can like make a note about the class or
Yeah.
like say like have I don't know maybe a comment about the class or something like that like on the application? I can't remember.
Really?
Personalize it.
It asks for like what the class is, what the textbooks are, like.
You
stuff
could
like that.
like I'm sure
Yeah.
somewhere in there you could probably just make a note and say like I'm auditing this class and I've been going to it like every day or whatever.
I'm pretty sure there's a note field. After, let me get your email, and then I'll find out about that, and I can get your, anyone who asks specific questions that I was gonna look up. If you want a response from me, I'll send you an email after I figure it out.
Thanks.
Any other questions? No? Okay.
Good luck.
Want to say, Christian?
Not really.
Yeah, awesome, thanks for coming.